Hey guys, Icon here from Vochlea Music. In this video, we're going to be performing and recreating parts from the Weeknd's 2020 track, Too Late. The way we're approaching the breakdown this time is performing loops and individual parts from the sections and then piecing them together to form the whole track. After the performance compilation, we'll move on to breaking down the sounds and the tricks we use with Dubler. Hope you enjoy. The first sounds we're going to look at are the drums, and we use 3 different drum kits to recreate this track. The first are some intro drums, which have a hi-hat sample, a clap sample, a sub sample, and also a reversed open hi-hat sample. So here's how those 4 triggers sound. We decided to use the snap with the sub for fun. That sub comes in twice during our version of the track, once before the chorus and again at the end, I think, before the chorus as well. And the other parts are used to just make tension building rhythm, so that sounds like this. So that reversed open hi-hat sample creates some tension before the clap hits. And regarding the sounds, the clap is just a clap sample. We used Ableton's Redux Bit Crusher to downsample a little bit. The hat is a normal hi-hat, no processing. The open hat, like I said, was just an open hi-hat sample we just reversed in Ableton. When you click the shortcut R, you can reverse any sample. And we also shortened the beginning so we don't have all that silence. And additionally, that sub is just a drop from Splice. So again, here's how that sounds. That's the first kit. The second drum kit is the main beat that comes in. So for that, I'm gonna go to Dubler and switch my profile. And now I'll switch kits as well. Let's see how that sounds. So we just use this kick and rim sample for the chorus beat, and the hi-hat is the same sample as the previous one, and it's hitting every off note. I recorded them separately because I'm not the best beatboxer, so it's hard to do kick, snare, and hat at the same time. So, and then the third kit we used is these fill drums, these fill sounds that appear throughout the track. For that, I'm again going to switch to my third profile. Only 3 samples here, and here are the sounds. So the same rim, but we also have a crash and a bass sample. So occasionally in the track, before the chorus comes in especially, there are these triplet hits, or during the chorus there are also ta-ta-ta kind of rhythms that really create a nice fill and tension before the next beat comes in. For example, there's an FM kind of garagey bass sample hit doing the same rhythm occasionally in the middle of the chorus. That sounds like this. And finally, the last element of this kit is a 909 crash that comes in right at the end of the bridge before the second chorus. Here's how that sounds. That's it for the drums. Now moving on to the pitched elements of the track. Since there are few notes in our performance, we kept the stickiness high to make it more challenging to switch notes, but this helped us land on the correct notes. And scale-wise, we use the G major scale. The track is actually an E minor, but G major has the same notes. So when using auto key detect, it detected G major, and that worked for us fine. And these settings remain the same for all of the parts. The first part we can start with is the pad. For the pad, we used a phase plant preset called Cybertronic. We also used some filter automation to give it some character and build it up at the beginning. Regarding its chord, we used the chord MIDI device, which is a trick we use a lot in this track, and we just had it playing a simple triad. It's major third and the fifth, and we play the notes C, D, and E, and it automatically plays the triads of those chords, and we made sure everything stays in key by using the C major scale preset with the bass G to make it G major. Here's how that sounds. We also use an EQ just to cut the lows and a Valhalla shimmer reverb, which is an amazing reverb for adding ambience to parts. These are the settings we've used. In the chorus, we use another pad, the Mega Fatness pad, one of Ableton's samplers preset. And again, we've used the chord device to add a third, seventh, octave, upper third, and then upper fifth. So very layered, very full pad sound. And we've also used another Valhalla plugin, Supermassive. This is free, so you should definitely pick it up from Valhalla DSP's website. This is the Happy Little Clouds preset. In the bridge, we use this exact same sound. We've just duplicated the channel. This part was probably the most complicated one because there are lots of chord shapes here, not only triads and not only one chord shape that all the different chords are using. What we did is we inserted all of these chord devices with different chord shapes, and then we mapped our keyboard buttons to turn them on and off. So when we need one of them, we turn them on with our G key, for example, or our H key or J key for the others, and we get to sing the desired chord shape. So for example, I'll go between this major 9 and minor 7 here, and I'll sing C and then E. Just as a reminder to map parameters to key buttons in Ableton, all you have to do is hit Command K. Everything turns orange, all of the mappable parameters. You just click on one parameter and then hit the key on your keyboard, and then it's automatically mapped, and you get the list of mappings here when you click this arrow. See lots of key mappings in this project. So I'm just going to use my D key to launch the major 9 chord shape, and then D again to turn it off, and then F to launch the minor 7, for example. So you can make the switch between chord shapes while you're sustaining one note. It won't stop the chord playing and change it. And this is definitely a creative way to experiment with different chord shapes. Just launch random chords while you're hitting different notes, and you'll find nice combinations. Make sure to hit record so it records your automation as well. For the sub, we just use a simple sub sample from Splice. Here's the title if you want to find the same yourself. And here's how that sounds. And what we did was we transposed it +5 so that when we hit a C, it plays a C because this is a G sample. And we also sidechained it to the kick. One more tip about playing subs, it's very hard to sing subby low notes. So what we did was we brought the octave shift down to 0 or -1 sometimes so we can sing high notes and have it still launch sub notes. So for example, and we also have another instrument, which is this brass hit sample, which was a D sharp sample. So we transposed it down -3 again, so it lines up when we play a C, it hits a C note. And we also added a Valhalla Supermassive preset, the same Happy Little Clouds preset afterwards, so that it fades into the distance. This part just comes in the outro section. And we also have a lead here for the bridge. So that's just Ableton's swirl lead instrument preset, and here's how it sounds with Dubler. In the first ARP at the intro, we just used one chord shape to play its major third, 16 semitones up and 19 semitones up for the fifth. We had an arpeggiator, and then we have the scale MIDI device here, again set to G major, to avoid any of the arpeggiated notes going out of our key. And we used a really cool synth called Predator. It's an old one by Rob Papin, but the thing with the Rob Papin synths is all of the presets sound ready to go for a professional track. So if you don't have any Rob Papin synths, I definitely recommend them. And we used Transgate because we wanted to give a rhythm to the ARP so that it emphasizes every 2 16th notes. Here's how that sounds. And I also mapped the filter cutoff in the synth to one of my MIDI controller knobs here. So I'm going to open that and close that while playing this part. And as you can see, this Transgate is adding a really cool rhythm, and you can mix it in as well. It's a plugin by Kilohertz, by the way. The chorus has a more difficult ARP with more chord shapes. So again, we use that trick from the pad, automating and then launching various different chord devices with different chord shapes. It also has a different Transgate rhythm, emphasizing every 4 16th notes. This time with the intro, it was emphasizing every 2. So here's how that sounds. The last ARP, we used the different chord shapes to keep the pattern going, and this time it's an 8th note ARP. And we also used the note length plugin, so we don't have to hold down the note the whole time we're singing an ARP. So instead of having to go da while the ARP is playing, you just do one da into Dubler and it continues playing. And the sound we use for this is the Pad Bright Pad preset from KV331 Synthmaster. A really cool synth, again with great presets. The final sound we used is a brass patch in the intro to layer the pad and build up the tension even more before the chorus comes in. And for that, we just used one chord shape, which is again the major triad of C, D, and E. But we have the G major scale device here to correct those notes because not all 3 of those chords are major. The E is minor and the C and the D are major, but this corrects all the notes automatically. We also mapped our O key to launch the second chord device, which adds a whole octave for all of the other notes playing. So the root gets an octave, this +4 gets another octave, this +7 gets another octave. So you're getting a very stacked brass chord. Here's with and without the chord device. Now I'm going to launch the chord device on that last chord. And those are all the parts we used to recreate Too Late. Thanks for watching. It was really fun making that video, and we're definitely looking forward to making more breakdowns in the future. If you have any suggestions for tracks, please leave them in the comments and we'll be sure to consider it. Also, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments and we'll get back to you. For more information about Dubler, head to Vochlea.com and subscribe for more videos. See you soon.